and welcome. It's so great to be with you here again today. Today, we are talking about the age of Asia. By any stretch, by any measure, this is the age of Asia. China, the second largest economy of the world, India, an emerging giant, the East Asian nations continuing strong, and in the middle of it all is the 10-nation bloc of ASEAN member states. ASEAN really matters, not just for each other, but for the global economy. We want to understand how the age of Asia translates to the age of ASEAN. And I cannot think of anyone better to talk about it than His Excellency, Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN, DSG Satvinder Singh. We have Satvinder Singh here with us today. Welcome, DSG. It's such a pleasure to be here talking to you about these amazing matters. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we talked about the age of Asia, and I know your interest is the age of ASEAN. How do you at ASEAN view this, and what kind of opportunities do you see that? How does it connect to ASEAN's ambition?
Clearly, we all feel that we are at the inflection point where most global economies are also watching what ASEAN is doing. We are privileged. We have 660 million of our population, and most of them are very young. Our demography is actually very attractive. We are a region full of fantastic natural resources, a huge carbon sink. In fact, 36% of the carbon sink is in our region. And more importantly, for the last 2 decades, what we have seen is strong economic growth driven by strong fundamentals. All of the 10 ASEAN member states and their leaders, they're all committed towards driving this economic growth to better the lives of the people of the region. The region is today one of the largest recipients of FDI in the world, in the developing world. I think we've outpaced China for the last 2 years, and I hope that we can keep to that momentum. So it's a huge momentous jump in terms of our ability to be relevant to the world. And the same goes for trade. Potentially even trade may grow by 1.2 trillion over the next 10 years. So I think those are the fundamentals that are probably giving us that attention and the focus that you see the age of ASEAN in Asia.
Absolutely. In fact, our AI-driven global trade model with over 500 million data points shows exactly what you said, which is there's a 1.2 trillion trade upside for ASEAN in the next 10 years. What gives you cause for optimism, and how do you think of ASEAN taking advantage?
The fundamentals in ASEAN are very stable. And this has not just happened in the last 5 years. It's been there for the last several decades. In ASEAN, we are very unique. It doesn't really matter which party is in power in the region. Whoever is in power in the 10 countries, all of the leaders, they all seem to have a common, concerted effort of wanting to generate economic growth for their people. Fundamentally is the strength of ASEAN. But I think more importantly, we are at the crux where there are huge challenges that we are facing today. I think there is the need for us to transform ourselves digitally to make our people more relevant. At the same time, there's a huge fundamental need for us to be decarbonizing our economies to remain more relevant. I think the ability for the leaders to also not just look at growth for the sake of growth, but also to grasp some of these new challenges into the thinking. And that direction coming from the leaders, the way we need to think how the region needs to be relevant, I think those are fueling truly the foundations that I'm talking about. Yes. And those foundations are potentially going to be providing us very sound ways of bringing us forward, not just in the next 10 years, but even beyond.
Absolutely. And it's a long-range thinking that is so unique about ASEAN. So let's take the DEFA. The 10 nations endorsed the blueprint for the DEFA. It has gone into negotiation now, and we understand that there is a commitment to sign the DEFA by 2025. Exciting times. Tell me more about the DEFA. What is it about, and how did you come up with it?
The Digital Economic Framework Agreement, the DEFA, it's truly something we are very proud of. I don't think there's any region in the world that's been able to come together so quickly. And this is what the spirit of DEFA is, the ability for us to integrate our region digitally. We are already so strong in terms of physical goods, in terms of economic agreements, free trade agreements within ASEAN and with all our major trade partners. Absolutely. Now the focus is how do we get our digital economy also connected and integrated? And that's where we see the next stage of economic growth. And clearly the DEFA is going to be a very comprehensive agreement. It's going to touch everything from the movement of data, movement of payments across borders, to setting up of harmonized rules in terms of digital identities, trade digitalization, even the movement of skilled people across borders to support digital growth. We've started negotiations in December last year. We are confident that we will at least come back with a comprehensive amount of agreement on the agreement negotiated by 2025. And that, imagine, is going to be helping our economy move hopefully even quicker. With Defa, instead of just growing from now to 2030 by $1 trillion, we're expecting that this growth could be even double or more. And the king in all of this Defa agreement is also going to be the entire, what I call basically the e-commerce space. Defa will be an opportunity for us to negotiate and to sort out some of the complications and challenges that e-commerce trade faces across our borders. And this is what we're excited that this is going to be the next growth fuel engine for the region in the coming years.
I want to talk a bit about the process of Defa as well. Please help me understand a bit how you came up with the Defa Blueprint.
We knew we are dealing with different stakeholders, different levels of developments. And clearly the notion in the past was, oh, the developed countries in ASEAN are going to gain more from the developing. But factually, we knew data shows it is actually the developing countries. The LDCs actually have the greatest ability to be able to derive value in terms of digital growth from an agreement like this. But we needed data. We needed to do a deep study to also ensure we had practical, real, strong data to convince our leaders that this is the way forward. We needed to show them where the money is. Yes. Why must you sacrifice yourself and give in to what we are beginning to negotiate? I think this is where partnering with a strong knowledge partner like BCG has helped us. In a very short span of time, we were able to garner that data that we needed. The other important thing we needed was we needed to go and scour what are some of the other digital agreements out there. I think there were roughly about 30 agreements that we went very deep study into to pick up the best practices of what we need to incorporate in our own Defa. But the most important element of our journey was the ability for us to very quickly harness what private sector wants. Both small, medium-sized, large local players in the region, as well as global players that are operating in our region. What is it that's going to make a difference in their decision-making, and what are they expecting us to be putting into these agreements that's going to be impactful to their own growth and development? And I think once we had that information, and once we showed some of this clarity to the leaders, it was so easy for us to get the commitment from them that this is the way to go. There's no turning back. There's no regret moves in this. This is where we need to bring our region forward. I'm telling you, everyone is watching us on Defa. And because there's nothing like it so comprehensive in the world, everybody is watching. And there's a lot of stress on us. Every region in the world needs to look at digital agreements in the next phase of development. So I think we're excited. This is one of the few times where we are in the front running and everybody's watching us. You know, we are not just waiting for others to do and then we follow. We are actually leading some of these conversations, and we could have only have done this because we have such a strong will from our leaders to do this correct.
And I can see it, I can sense the energy, and I can sense that it's a calling. It's something that you're really motivated to drive. But you also mentioned carbon neutrality. And I want to call attention to the data point you said, that ASEAN has 36% of the cost-effective carbon sinks in the world. So you are not just a part of the solution for yourselves, you are a part of the climate solution for the world potentially. And that's fascinating to see. Tell us a bit more about how you are approaching carbon neutrality.
2023 was another exciting outcome that came from the ASEAN Leaders Summit, was the acceptance of the ASEAN Carbon Neutral Plan. Very quickly, member states are realizing there are big regional initiatives that need to be coordinated, which they at individual country level cannot influence alone. I'll give you an example. In the area of power, right? We needed to look at the connectivity, the ASEAN power grid. Again, it's not something each individual country can coordinate. They need, at the regional level, a full coordination of what the region needs to do to help each other. This is what the ASEAN Carbon Neutral Plan is. 8 strategies with very clear 16 initiatives identified, which are going to be our priorities over the next 1 decade in terms of implementation. We have actually selected the strategies and initiatives that are relevant to ASEAN. And I think this is what we are excited, and I will encourage everyone to come and support, the private sector especially, be part of that strategy of implementation of decarbonization we are looking for. And we have seen the numbers, the studies we've done clearly indicate the growth that we can potentially see. From now till 2050, we get the carbon neutral strategy in place and the initiatives implemented over the 1 decade. We are going to lead forward towards potential growth of adding another over $5 trillion to our GDP in the region, even creating over 60 million jobs. I mean, these are numbers that you cannot avoid. Like you said, we have the mother nature with us. 36% of the carbon sink is in the region. We want to be responsible. We want to be relevant. We want to be able to even create the carbon markets in the region, in ASEAN, that are going to support the development of potentially, hopefully, even pricing for carbon for the world. I mean, these are the ambitions of ASEAN, and we want the world to know that we are wanting to work with them to achieve some of these ambitions.
Sitting here, thinking about the year, what's on your mind? What comes next for ASEAN?
We are at kind of a very important inflection point. We are coming to the end of our existing economic blueprint, which is ending in 2025. But the next stage of plan, the leaders want us to plan for the next 20 years from 2025 to 2045. What I'm feeling, rest assured, is some of this foundational work and investment that we have made, both from the digitalization point of view and decarbonization. And I think we are in a very good position today in able to draw some of that into the plans and bring reality of where we want to be in terms of our global relevancy.
Absolutely. And good luck with that bold ambition. Good luck with driving the age of ASEAN, we should say, not just the age of Asia. DSG, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for speaking to us, and good luck with everything you're doing.
Always good to speak to you.